and pulls people out of harm's way. The next stage is moving forward, and as Governor Patrick said, dealing with power. We had, when this storm left, 2.7 million people without power. Those numbers are dropping. Right now, Dan and I both, neither of us have power, so I slept on the couch of a buddy of mine yesterday who thankfully did have AC. And but you know that they are, CenterPoint has committed to having 11,500 linemen coming in from all across Texas and from other adjoining states to be out there right now repairing the work. And I know there are a lot of people that are facing the heat, facing difficulties feeding their families, and we need to make sure that moves as expeditiously as possible. I'll tell you, yesterday, someone who's a good friend of all of ours, Mattress Mac, opened up gallery furniture in Houston to anyone who needed shelter, needed food. Mac texted me last night, said he fed over 3,000 people. Rebuild. All of the Gulf Coast will rebuild, and we'll redo it together. And a big part of the reason is the great leadership of Nim Kidd, who has been on the front lines of disaster after disaster after disaster, and of course is here again today.
Thank you, Senator. Let's now go to Judge Henry. Judge?
Thank you, Governor. It's always good to have the governor come down and visit us. It's even better when he comes with federal aid. So I'm very appreciative of his stop today and his securing what's going to be a long recovery. Most of you are going to be off this story by next week. We will be dealing with it for probably the next 8 to 10 years. So we appreciate the federal assistance. It's an unknown amount of damage right now. Our biggest issue has been power, as I think you've all correctly reported on. We still have 40% of the county has no electricity. I am one of those who doesn't have electricity. I spent my night in my unair-conditioned house in about 85-degree bedroom and did the best I could. So I'm as impacted as anyone in the county. I want to point out, you are seeing a visualization of how government works at all levels here today, starting with Chief Kidd, who started calling me last week, saying, what can we do for you? Of course, till the storm comes, we really don't know what we need. But the fact that he was always there, and Chief Miller as well, I mean, everybody from the federal government to the state government has been saying, what can we do to help you? Now that we have requests, we've passed those requests on to them. I know exactly how they will process them, and that's very efficiently. We were just talking about some nuts and bolts stuff about how we can help some of our really small cities. So big thanks to everyone here for giving us some time and listening to our needs, Governor. Appreciate it. And thank you for everything that you continue to do for the great state of Texas.
Thank you, Judge. It really is a team effort. I think we have the best state team in the country, which means the best in the world, because let's face it, we're a state, but we really are a nation state. And we have the best at the level at the cities and the counties, and then the larger cities and counties help the smaller. As you're talking about, we were in the briefing and you're talking about with one of the mayors of the small town, how can we help them? And that's the way it works, and Senator Cruz is right. We are one when it comes to responding. The person who's in charge of the response at the state level is our chief, Nim Kidd. Nim, let me turn it to you.
Thank you, Governor. Senator, thank you. Judge, thank you. And the mayors in the back, thank you for your partnership and help, as well as Senator Middleton and Representative Leo Wilson. My name is Nim Kidd. I'm the Emergency Management Chief for the state, and I want to thank you all for being here to help us get the rest of this message out. And the one is, as Beryl leaves this state, it is still a dangerous storm and is leaving dangerous consequences in its place. Power outages right now and restoring power is our #1 priority. There will still be places where there is water crossing roads. Please help us get the message out to turn around, don't drown. Do not drive through low water if you don't have to. I want to thank all of our local first responders that have been out there 24 hours around the clock on this, many of them whose homes and families are impacted just like the rest of ours, and they're still there on the job. So if you get a chance to thank one of them, please do so. Power, again, is our #1 priority. Secondary to that is establishing cooling centers and helping with generators at cooling centers if we need. The third thing, so the emergency declaration that Governor Patrick worked on with the President will grant 75% reimbursement for debris cleanup, and that is for all 121 impacted counties at this point. We will be working to make sure that the debris is picked up as fast as possible. Please, if you're a citizen and you're going to start doing your own debris, pay attention to your local government regulations for that. The debris will need to be separated into white goods or construction and demolition and vegetation. Please don't put it all into one pile. It only slows the recovery process. As we continue to move forward, we will stay engaged with our local elected officials and partners, and we will be here with them through the remainder of this event. Thank you, Governor.
One other issue about safety is carbon monoxide poisoning. So I know that's an issue close to you.
Yes, sir.
We've had people die from that.
Yes, sir.
So you want to talk about that a little bit more fully?
Yeah, while power is off,
hand up to our neighbors. But if you're wondering if someone is okay, if you think they have medically necessary equipment that has a battery that needs to be charged, don't risk it and call 911, please. We've already lost someone in Bolivar. Their oxygen machine ran out of battery and their generator died, and unfortunately they passed away. We don't want more stories like that. Also, if you think you need to go to a cooling center, please go. It's very important. We don't want to lose anyone else over this. So just make sure that you're watching out for your neighbor, and we're going to be here working to restore power as quickly as possible. And that was our top topic of discussion here when we met right before this press conference. So thank you, God bless you, and please make sure to keep up to date with your friends and neighbors so we can help them. Thank you.
Representative Leo?
Thank you, Governor, for coming, and also Senator Cruz. We really appreciate your help in all of this, and especially getting us the federal aid. Just to reiterate what Senator Cruz said and Senator Middleton, Galveston has a history of going through these storms, of recovering from disasters, and that's one of the great things about living here. Democrat, we don't have anything. We are all working together. So please check on your neighbors. Be the Galvestonians that we know that you are. Please, like Senator Middleton said, if you need a cooling center, those will be listed on the county website. Call our office if you need help. We will, if we can't help you with water or whatever it is that you need, we will get you to the right spot. So we want your calls to keep coming. We want to help you. We are very honored and privileged to be here and to work with all the fine first responders and just all the people from Galveston County that are used to working together. Continue that, and please don't hesitate to call us if you need help in any way, shape, or form.
Or any of the mayors wish to make any comments?
Brandon Noto, Mayor of Santa Fe. Just like to thank you, Chief Kidd, Governor, for y'all's leadership. Y'all have kept us up to date on the briefings. We knew exactly what to expect. We knew where those resources are. It really helped us do a great job being on the first line with our citizens and making sure that we could have our communities prepared. Judge Henry, Galveston County Office of Emergency Management, keeping us up to date, just making sure that we had all the resources and information that we need, and then moving forward with the recovery. We just appreciate y'all coming down and giving us the resources to start recovering for our citizens. Thank y'all.
Anyone else? Any other mayors?
Yeah, Nick Long, Mayor of League City. Really do appreciate you guys coming down here to League City today. We appreciate the partnership with Galveston County and as well as Harris County. It was a little bit bigger than we anticipated from a wind standpoint, a little bit less from a storm surge standpoint. But now I think the biggest thing to kind of look out for also in League City is a lot of these traffic lights being down. The incidents of traffic accidents are up. They're a lot higher than normal. And so I think as you're driving around the roads, just take that into account and slow down and make sure we kind of work those four-way stops and don't cause any additional accidents from there.
Thank you, Mayor. One phone number let me give everyone before we open up to questions. If you're on Centerpoint and you're asking about your power, call 713-207-2222. 713-207-2222. Do not call 911. The phone lines were jammed on 911. We need to leave that open for life-threatening situations, not calling about your power. So Centerpoint is 713-207-2222. Now we'll open up to questions.
Lieutenant Governor,
Yeah.
Centerpoint appears
that I don't know if that's the company position or her position. I'll simply say this, that any thought that people were surprised that the storm might come to Houston is shocking to me. I still have my text that I sent to NIM on the 4th of July when the track, Jeremy, was Mexico and the Rio Grande. And in my text, I said, I'm not comfortable with this track. I'm not comfortable with this storm. It reminds me of Ike. And I'm very concerned because of the news, they're not paying attention even to their emails, and this storm can sneak up on us. And the track started moving. And that's why we moved very quickly at the state level. How Centerpoint or anyone else read the weather and the track, I can't answer to that. But if they're a meteorologist, if they have one, I don't know that they have one, I believe they do, but if they're a meteorologist or whoever they get counsel from on weather did not say to them, you better be ready for Houston, which is the biggest population area on the Gulf Coast, because this storm might come there, well, I would be shocked and surprised if someone didn't say you should be ready for that. I just can't answer because I don't know the facts. I've talked to them, and we will get the facts later. But no one should have been surprised. And I read my text to Tim, to NIM, coming over here again, and one of the things I said, we don't know the final track, but we need to be prepared and to be ready. The judge needed to be prepared and be ready. If Centerpoint was or was not, we'll find out later, but if they weren't, that's on them. And again, the tail of the tape is how soon are we going to get power back and how soon will they be effective?
One follow-up, sir. That's
Yes.
not them, but they are a utility. And
Yes.
The state doing it.
Well, we have a Public Utility Commission. Yeah,
So,
Jeremy, we do.
You know, we're getting to a point where it's beyond inconvenience and the real public health and safety. It's triple-digit heat index.
Sure.
You have elderly folks, you have folks with small
Sure.
children. It's just not an inconvenience. And so, what do you pledge to do once the dust is settled to ensure that Centerpoint is held accountable?
So first of all, Thomas Gleason, who's the head of the PUC, the Public Utilities Commission, we had a press conference with him yesterday. He's been talking to Centerpoint as well. And again, right now, Jeremy, if they made mistakes, we don't know if they did or not. If they made mistakes beforehand, then that will be addressed by the PUC. That's their job. And by the state legislature. That's our job. But today, Jeremy, I'm not looking at what they didn't do or should have done on Thursday or Friday or Saturday. I'm looking at what are they going to do now and how fast are they going to get their crews out, because now we're in the life-saving business. So instead of doing, we can do a post-analysis of their success or their failures after we get the power back. And so, but I think you've done a very good job of reporting on that, and I thank you for that.
Lieutenant Governor,
Yeah.
just kind of a follow-up.
Yes.
When that report comes out, are you going to also want to be able to see, because it seems like we're having these infrastructure problems over and over again in Texas, that the infrastructure itself is not suitable for something like this on a regular basis. Is that something, too, you think the legislature is going to take a look at? And Senator, you may, Senator Middleton may want to answer on that, too, because it seems like you wouldn't be in this position on reaction if it was taken care of in the first place in the infrastructure. Not a lot of it's vegetation, we know, but it needs to be kind of broadened.
Well, there is a reality here. There is a reality here, and that reality is we love Texas, and we love our trees, and we have trees everywhere, and trees overhang the power lines. And I know in talking to Centerpoint many years ago about how often they trim the trees, it takes them about a full year to do the full round. And by the way, people don't like to take down their trees. They want their trees in the backyard. They want their trees in the front yard. And we have power lines. And if you have an 80-mile-an-hour wind or higher, or even less than that, you're going to have limbs fall on power lines. But those should be able to be replaced relatively quickly. Now, we have had, I don't know the number today yet, haven't gotten the report for today, but as of yesterday, we had 10 transmission lines down. So this was a wind event that caused a lot of damage. And power, the highest record for loss of power was 2.1 million, I think, from Ike, and we were at 2.7 yesterday, and it may have climbed higher. So we are going to have to deal with the fact if you have a hurricane or a strong tropical storm and you have a lot of wires, unless we're going to bury them all, and that would take a long time and a lot of money, that we're going to have these situations from time to time. And I think people understand that. What people don't understand is if you're not prepared for it. What they don't understand is if you don't have your people ready to go in right then. And we know that you can't send a bucket truck up if the winds are 35 miles an hour or more. It's too dangerous. We know they have to get out there, just like we all did, and assess the damage. And we know that they're going to make decisions, like the first decision to restore power to the vulnerable, to people who are in nursing homes or assisted living or other places where their generators failed or they didn't have any. That's the first people they're going to put up. The second people, if they have a circuit that has 150 people on it and a circuit has 10,000 people on it, they're going to restore 10,000 before 150. That's how they're going to do it. So the real question is, were they as prepared as they should be? And that's up to them to answer, and they will answer not only to the public, they'll answer to the PUC. And if we need to make corrections after that, we will. And if they need to make corrections, they will. But right now, we just want to get the power up, and I don't want to take their time up explaining to me what happened on Friday or Saturday. I want them to be on the ground, in the buckets, trimming trees and getting the power up. And Jeremy, that's really my answer to you. I don't want to take their distraction away from right now dealing with paperwork and who did what when. But we will have a post-analysis of this event and if there were issues so that they don't happen again. Any other questions?
Senator Cruz, I want to,
Yeah.
because the federal
Right.
assistance that come along, just for the folks that will be watching, the damage assessments are the big part of that.
Yep.
Can you emphasize what needs to be done there so that the counties and the cities
Right.
can
disaster. And I think that is a very important question to focus on. I think also in terms of long-term infrastructure, you've got the Ike Dike, which obviously came out of the impetus of it, came out of Hurricane Ike, but it is something that I've been working with leadership in Galveston and across the Gulf Coast for many years now, and at the federal level, championing legislation to get authorization, to get the preliminary studies, to get the Army Corps of Engineers working on the different steps for ultimately building the Ike Dike, and we're seeing the first steps of a coastal barrier being constructed already. And so for long-term infrastructure, we need to continue to make those investments, but that takes real time. You also referenced my friend Mays Middleton, and we were talking about the dunes here. I think it's a good chance maybe for Mays to share his thoughts on the dunes here on the island.
Yeah, so thank you, Senator Cruz. I was talking with Terry Leo Wilson as well. And look, the dunes were wiped out here. A lot of them were rebuilt over the past few years. I know Representative Wilson had hay bales in front of her home on the beachfront. And this needs to be a chance that we look at this and find out ways to basically remediate that and repair in a way that will help prevent this in the future, because right now, those dunes are gone. So when a future storm comes in, which we're hopeful it's not, but if it does, there's not a lot there to protect homes on a barrier island, whether that's Surfside or Galveston or Bolivar, doesn't matter. We need to make sure that we have a better way to restore those and a more sustainable way to restore those that will prevent future damages and also help stop storm surges that may come in.
You know that Alberto had done some serious damage.
Yeah.
It had, yes. Yes.
Nim, did you want to add to that?
So thank you for that question. I want to direct everybody to damage.tdm.texas.gov that's there on the placard in front of Senator Cruz. If your home has been damaged, please go to damage.tdm.texas.gov and report that information. We created this app kind of like some of the car companies that if you have a wreck, you take a picture and send it in, it starts your claim. This is not an insurance claim, but this is the damage assessments that we need to send that to the White House to ask for individual assistance for our residents. The categories that were granted today were for debris cleanup cost and our emergency protective measures, our response cost. We still need to continue damage assessments with our local partners for road damage, bridge damage, building damage, and other utility and infrastructure damage. So all of those damage assessments will be ongoing. But if your home was damaged by this storm, please report those damages to damage.tdm.texas.gov.
Last question.
Lieutenant Governor or Senator Cruz, I've spoken to some of the families who lost loved ones after this, and now they're confused, they're devastated, they don't know what comes next. So really, my question is, have you been in contact with
Houston Police Department, a civilian employee drowned, and we will be in touch with them. We'll be there to help them, absolutely. I have 120 counties to see over, but as we said yesterday, our prayers are with them, and we will offer the assistance where and how we can. And then we also lost to carbon monoxide poisoning, so we will follow up with those families for sure. Senator Cruz?
Well, I think